YouTube, I'm the Remodeling Veteran and welcome back to our channel. This week we're wanting to go over how to make and install your own folding shelves. A lot of different designs out there people are buying, but I got a couple simple designs that we're going to show you to where you can make your own and save yourself quite a bit of money. So let me just get a couple things set up here behind me, get the camera set up, and we'll get right into it. Thank you. Alright guys, so here's a couple of things we're going to need to finish it. Here's all my pre-cut lumber. For this video, I've actually used my table saw to trim the widths of some of these to accommodate a different design that I'm doing. While we were putting this together, I'll show you how you can do it without even needing to own a table saw or circular saw or what have you. You could just do all of this with a basic hand saw if you really wanted to. But for our design, I probably will post the dimensions of my lumber in the description just in case somebody wants to match it, but as we all know, your floating shelf is probably going to be a completely different length and width than maybe what we're doing here. So just keep that in mind that our widths might not match yours. Couple screws just to mount everything. The two long ones, I'm using 4-inch screws this time because I'm using a 2x2 piece of stock for the back piece that's going to mount on the wall. Here's the front plate. I'm actually using a piece of unprimed trim. I want to see how that looks in the design. Hopefully it works out. If not, no big deal. These floating shelves are just going to go next to our bed, just to hold phones and stuff. Two side plates that are going on the side of the shelf, and then the top and the bottom. For this, I'm actually using car siding. I want to see how the groove up top looks in the end. Generally, I just buy 1x8s. All of this is actually 1x material, except the back stock. And to be quite honest, I generally just use a 2x4 and trim it down to 2 inches on my table saw. I don't normally buy 2x2 material, but I wanted to show how people could do it without needing to trim any material down. Just your old standard drill, whatever you have. You could just nail this together if you really wanted to. I'm going to be using my brad nail and wood glue to put everything together, and I am going to screw it to the wall, and I'm going to actually screw the whole base once we get it made to this back plate in case I ever want to take it off. I don't see why I would need to, but you never know. You guys know me, safety first, always wear eye protection when you can. Always should wear it, why not? And then I have a level out just to get this back plate square up against the wall when we get it going. So let me move a couple things around and we'll just get right in to start making this thing. Alright guys, so if I'm going to start with my bottom plate, like I said, I'm going to use wood glue just to assemble this thing. I'm probably not going to use wood glue when we get to the very end, just for the simple fact that I don't know if I'll ever have to remove this, but if I ever do, at least I'll have that option. Mine's not going to be holding a whole lot of weight. I do normally glue these to the back plate that I mentioned, but this time I'm actually not going to do that. But I think it'll be perfectly fine. So I'm just going to flush everything up, preferably more towards the whatever side is going to be towards the front, just in case I'm a little bit off on my measurements. It won't be as noticeable. Looks good. Just going to flush it up here in the back. If anybody caught that on camera, I guess I should have checked what size nails I had in my nail gun before we started, but I still have 2-inch in here from another project, so one of the nails blew out. I wasn't 100% square when I was with my nail gun when I was putting it in, but and surprisingly I don't have anything but 2-inch in my shop now, but we'll make it work. That's fine. Let's make sure we're more square for next time. So back on track. Here's my front. That looks good. Get this other side piece on. Okay, and I guess thankfully that was the bottom. So I guess it will be seen anyways. Excess glue, wipe that off. Okay, so there's the bottom top plate. Again, I'm using car siding. All I did was trim the edges off on mine. This is normally like what, 1x8, which is 7 1/4, I guess. I just cut the tongue and groove off of each side. I don't know if these whipped are 100% the same. Looks like they're not. Small one towards the front. Okay. Get a little bit of glue on this. This is actually a really simple design for floating shelves, and they hold quite a bit of weight. We got 3 in our bathroom that we use, and I guess granted they're not holding a whole lot of weight, but like always, we're just going to square this up. Again, I'm just going to go off the front edge in case I'm slightly off. It'll be actually, it looks pretty good. Switch to the other side. Looks good. Square up the front. Okay. Looks good. Slightly off. That's why I like to square up the front. It's not off much actually at all. Okay, now we'll put our front plate on. So like I said, I normally use 1x material. I guess most of this right here is pretty much 1x material. The car siding I think is just slightly off. It's like 15/16 or something, but pretty much 1x. Take that back. Said that completely wrong. So 1x material, we all know it's not actually 1x4 in this case here, and 1x8 here. It's 3/4 by whatever your width is. I cut mine down, so these are actually 3/4, 3 1/4. Sorry, 3/4 by 3 1/4, and this ended up being like 5 3/4 by 7/16. But I'll put all those measurements in the description in case you wanted to make this exact one for whatever reason. And then this is just a foot wide. And then for the front plate, I normally buy 1x material, but I wanted to try this piece of casing trim. I think it'll look fine. I guess it's just something different. We have a very country-fied house here. So a lot of this exposed lumber and weird country industrial looks are fine with us. So we'll put this on the front. I'm just going to put a little more glue. Evened out, spread the glue out, okay. Push right on the front. Three and a quarter because this, or 3 1/4 because this casing trim is not 3.5 inches like 1x material. It is looks good. good. Wipe all this excess glue off. Okay. Probably give mine a light sand. Probably stain it with steel wool and vinegar mix, which gives it kind of like an old barn wood look, antique wood look. So there's our opening. Here's the front of the shelf. Pretty much just a box. It's just going to slide over once we mount this onto the wall. Our box will just slide right inside. So I might have to trim this a little bit. Yep, might have to trim it just a tad bit. Looks like one side's gonna start and one side's not, so no big deal. I'll trim mine down just a little bit. Which is, I don't ever run into that issue, I guess, because I normally don't make these on my bench. For one, it's just way easier to show how to make it, making it on the bench. I wanted to try it a little bit different too. My wife, I'm off today, and my wife works from home. She's still inside, so I didn't want to be making a lot of noise inside while she's still at work. But I generally start with screwing and leveling my back plate on first, and then exact same process. I screw in my bottom plate first, and then I put my side pieces on, and then I put my top plate on, and then I put the front face on. Exact same process we just did. I just start with mounting the back plate onto this first, and then it's the same exact thing we just did. But no big deal, since I did it on the bench, I'm just slightly off. This is kind of custom anyways than we normally do. So it's no big deal to cut this through. I would say that if you're doing it without trimming anything, which again is how we normally do, by only buying just 1x material, so 1x4 material for the sides, 1x4 material for the front, and 1x8 material is what we normally use for the tops. This one's slightly shorter, which is actually fine by our bed. And then buying 1x4 material and starting with this on the wall and then screwing each piece on in correlation with putting this on first is the easiest way to do it if you do not want to cut anything. And again, it's just the same process. But let me go run this through my table saw, trim it up just a tad bit, and then I will take you inside, show you how to mount this on the wall, and then screw this on, and we'll wrap it up. Okay, so I've come inside. You can see this red mark here. That's kind of where me and my wife could decide where we want this. One thing I did mention that I'm going to be using, you don't necessarily have to use it, is a stud finder. They come in handy. You could do the knock method and try to figure out where it's at, but I have one, so I'm going to use it. Mine, I just put on the wall and I move it across, and as you can see, it tells me where exactly that 2x4 is with those highlighted lights. I've determined the center's right there, and that's about the height that we want it. So that's where we're gonna do it. I've also just pre-drilled some holes and started one screw in this lumber, just so I don't split it. I've got my level ready. I'm just gonna put this up on the wall. Put my level on there, make sure it's level. About there. And we're just gonna drill this in. All right, so now that we got that on there, I can grab the shelf. Couldn't find it there for a second. As you can see, it'll slide right over. I'll take my 2 screws. I'm going to explain something in just a second, but I'll take 2 screws on the top and 2 screws on the bottom. That's what we're going to do on this one. So just to recap on a couple things, why I have this up here. This is generally where I start. I wanted to, like I said, I wanted to do it on the bench just to kind of help my wife being still at work. It helped her out, and too, I kind of just wanted to try something new. But generally, this is where I start. And I'm just going to take that bottom plate, the same process of how we built it, but I'm going to take that bottom plate and I'm going to screw it on the bottom with those 2 screws I just mentioned. I'm going to start there, and then I'm going to take my 2 side pieces and I'm going to put them on like we did in the video. Still brad nail them on and wood glue them. Put my top piece on, flush it up to the front, put the brad nails in, and then go ahead and screw it onto the top. And then you could just put that front piece on, brad nail it on, and call it done. And it's all the same process. Like I said, just resources I had available. I had to do it this way today. No wood glue this time for me. I'm not going to wood glue it on. I'm just going to try to screw it on. I think it's going to be just perfectly fine, but I don't think I'll ever take it off, but that's how we're going to do it today. Nice and sturdy. Guys, thanks for watching the video. I appreciate it. I apologize in advance for not doing how I normally do it. I wanted to try something new. I don't normally do that when I'm going to be making videos, but the process is all still exactly the same. Yes, I have wood that is not the exact dimensions, how maybe it might be the easiest. I have access to a table saw and whatnot, so I wanted to try something a little bit new. Like I said, you can go out and buy 1x4 material, and that 2x2 material, all of those items are sold at just about any big box store. And you can do all this with a handsaw. Nail it together if you wanted to, screw it together, what have you. But you could buy 1x4 material and buy that 2x2 material in the back, start with it on the wall, screw everything together, and it'll be flush. And do it all with minimal tools. I would have showed it like that. Like I said, my wife had a meeting today. She worked from home. I didn't want to be bugging her, so I built it on the bench. Hopefully it was detailed enough still for you guys to be able to get the gist of what was going on. Again, appreciate you guys watching the videos. I think I'm going to do a little bit of cleaning on my bench the rest of the day. It's starting to get a little cold here in Indiana. It's starting to freeze, so we've got coolant and stuff out. I've been checking my truck and my wife's truck coolant today and checking all the fluids, make sure we're good for winter. So I'll stop boring you guys. Appreciate it. Hope to see you guys in the future like always. Take care and have a blessed day.